All right, let's try this. I'm going to videotape the stigmatism around 3D printing, where some people say it's not a craft. This is a Santa Claus clicker going down the chimney. I'll go through the process of what I have to do to put these things together. I've already glued the top piece onto the chimney. You can do this in an AMS. Um, it wastes so much filament and takes so long.
What's an AMS?
AMS is an automatic filament system. So CFS and Creality's thing, but AMS is known widely because Bamboo Labs has a very big name in it. So each part I'll have to remount because dimensions aren't 100% in 3D printing. To make life easier for myself, just remount the hole a little bit. I'm going to assemble a boot on a little fur for the Santa Claus foot. So my whole thing is, the whole crafting part is, yeah, okay, I 3D printed my parts, so I basically manufactured the parts. And then I'm assembling the parts to make an item. Jewelry. I know silversmithing, they take the raw materials.
Stop.
Hi everybody, Vance from Savvy Frogs Crystals. So I decided I wanted to make a video in regards to 3D print businesses or crafters. I know that's a harsh word some places, and that's the reason why I'm making the video. I tried to register for an event in, a craft fair, local craft fair, but they're big in the New England area. So the thing is I had to fill out a form, I had to send them photos of stuff, and as soon as 3D print was in the list of items, I got a response back saying, we don't do 3D prints, thanks for applying, see you later. So I understand that there might be a stigmatism towards 3D printing. A lot of people just push out these 3D prints where they don't have to do anything. They just print them and sell them, and that's it. A majority of my 3D prints that I do, and I'm not going to lie, I do like the dragons and the snakes, because the kids like them. They love, fidgeting with them and stuff like that. But my niche is like putting stuff together. So this is a little Santa Claus clicker going down the chimney. So basically what I do is I take the chimney, and everything's printed individually to make it quicker as far as 3D printing. But I think it actually is better because there's no errors or anything between the colors when you're dealing with an AMS.
What's an AMS?
AMS is an automatic material system for Bamboo Labs. I have Creality printers, so it's called a CFS, which is the Creality filament system. So it basically automatically changes the color when you want it to change color. But printing it this way saves a lot of filament, so therefore in the end, this is going to be a lot cheaper doing it this way. It's a lot more labor involved. I don't charge for my labor though. I basically just charge for the materials and stuff like that. So what we have is little keyboard clickers. So those are fun. So each part goes together individually. So I have to glue the parts together. So essentially, I'm handcrafting this end piece. And my rationale behind that is, if you're making beaded jewelry, did you cut that stone, shape it, and then polish it, and then drill a hole to make the bead?
No, I wish I could.
No, you purchase the beads. We make homemade jewelry, but we purchase the beads, we purchase the wire, we purchase all the jump rings or anything like that to make the finished product. So we're essentially, my wife is over here making earrings right now. Can I see one of your earrings? So she's over here handcrafting these lovely holiday earrings. So, you know, she's hand making these. She's physically putting all the parts together, and therefore it is a handmade jewelry item, correct? I mean, unless you're silversmithing and you're taking raw materials and you're melting it down and then you're creating it, that's, you know, you're physically making the thing from scratch. I am taking this. This is filament. So I run this through the machine and it heats it up to a certain temperature and it does it layer by layer. So you can see here that these are called layer lines. So what happens is the machine puts plastic down on this one particular part, which is technically the thickness of a nickel, maybe more, maybe, you know, a nickel and a quarter. How's that? So basically it runs through, and this is probably, you know, 30 to 40 layers just here. So that's how the 3D print goes. It builds it from the bottom up. I'll post what they call a brain's not working right now, but basically it shows layer by layer as the printer's printing it. I'm sure you guys have seen it on videos here and there. So it basically looks like the model's growing. So that's that. So basically, you know, I have to take this part here, which is the boot cuff. I ream it out just slightly, which gives me a little bit more leeway to put the boot in. And here's the boot. I'll put the boot in, and that just snaps in like that. After I get the boot in, I take the legs, which doesn't look like the finished product. I mean, there you go, that's the difference. What I have to do is I take the boot. I have, this is called CA glue. I put my CA glue on. And I don't use the activator spray on small parts like this because the activator spray will leave residue on it. I don't want the residue on it in case, you know, kids put it in their mouth and stuff like that. I don't want chemicals and stuff like that. Small amount of glue. I'll put the boot on the legs. So they have to sit for quite a while. These have been glued for a little while, so the tops are now glued on. They're solid. So part by part, with the keyboard clicker, they go together, and then in the end result, they make this. So, I mean, in my eyes, even though I manufactured these parts myself, same way that somebody would manufacture beads to create a bracelet, earrings, a necklace, or whatever, they didn't create that item themselves. I manufactured all these parts myself in-house. So I'm not ordering it from anywhere. So how is this not handcrafted? Now, on a side note, I have noticed at some of my vending events that we've seen other vendors selling 3D prints. And I overheard them talking that they didn't even print them. What they're doing, they're ordering. So a lot of my files that I have to have a subscription to sell them commercially. So that's a fee. A lot of these other people, what they're doing is they're purchasing copyrighted people's designs, intellectual property. Somebody created this stuff. My biggest thing is a company called STL Flicks. We do lamps and stuff like that. So I have to, sitting right here, I take electrical and I have to put that together and make the lamp. These other vendors, and we've seen it firsthand because we were kind of diagonally away from one of them. They ordered their stuff. They never even printed the stuff. So therefore, yeah, I understand that. If you're a vendor host and you don't like 3D printing people, why don't you ask them? Just, hey, show me proof of what you're doing with the 3D prints. If you're just selling, 3D prints that you throw on, you don't do anything with. All right, that's kind of wishy-washy. If you can't prove that you printed the stuff, or you have printers in your house and you show that you're doing the stuff, then you're not crafting it. You don't belong at a craft fair. My honest opinion, you don't belong there. I mean, honestly, I have a family member that used to order from this company called Oriental Trading, and that vendor booth that I was talking about with all the 3D prints, they were also selling all these little kids' toys, and the people were buying it like crazy. But that's what it reminded me of, all the items that you could buy from Oriental Trading. Very inexpensive, bulk gadgets, I would say. And that's what they were selling. So yeah, I could see that. You don't want that person at a craft fair. And that's my rant for this video. I'm sorry I ranted about it, and I know a lot of crafters are on the platform saying that 3D print people don't belong in craft fairs. But honestly, I bring you right back to the fact. I'm putting this stuff together. I'm using my hands to create the final product. How is that not crafting? Where you buy your product and you craft it. Sorry about my rant. All right. Have a good day.